Good morning, good morning, good morning. Stanton, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. I have nothing prepared for you guys today. Nothing. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy weekend to all of you. We have everything to talk about today and nothing to talk about today. And it's a bit too dark here. That's much better. All right. So I put a few charts together, but nothing specific because, well, I'm going to be feeding off you guys today. You guys tell me what you want to talk about, and we're going to talk about that. Kind of starting to regret getting into crypto, to be honest. So, Bronny, when exactly did you get into crypto, though? Because crypto has done fantastic for a lot of people, man. It's changed lives. So, it's not been easy for anyone in crypto. Folk think that people who made it rich in crypto and kept their riches, they had it easy, right? But the folk who were in the space and were kicked out of the space, they know that it wasn't smooth sailing at all. In fact, most of the time, the market has been pretty, like, I wouldn't say depressing, but agonizing is the correct word. Agonizing would be the correct word. That has been crypto forever, right? I've had this argument. I want to specify argument with Kusha too. I'm like, Kusha, you're forgetting 2017 wasn't all smooth sailing. We look back at 2017. We look at the smoothed out indexes. We look at the smoothed out Bitcoin charts on the higher time frames. But every one of those, or rather, a couple of red candles we look at in the monthly time frame, those were agonizing. So many people got shook out. Right? So many people were threw in the towel at 1K Bitcoin, 2.6K Bitcoin, then again at around, so it was actually more like 3.2K down to the dump at 1.6K, but then again at around 4K Bitcoin when we had the Binance FUD. There was so much nonsense that happened throughout the 2017 cycle, and all of that with the undercurrents of the block size wars, right? There was a massive civil war going on during 2017's bull market that could have been an existential crisis for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could have got zeroed out during 2017, and we were all living through that. But in hindsight, hey, look at that. We rallied all the way to $20,000, right? It wasn't smooth sailing at all. Everyone regretted being in crypto after during that time. And then during the dump from 20,000 to 6K and then down to 3K, that wasn't easy either. It was never easy. Okay, it was never easy, guys. Okay, and then was this complete despair and doom and hopelessness at 3K. The only way people could dream of making money from crypto at that point was by shorting, right? Because they had just given up all hopes on the market going up. Because we've been going down for years at that point, right? 20K, dumped down to around 13K, bounced up to around 6. It was dumped down to 11K, bounced up to 16K, then back down to around 13K, and then again up, and then 10K, and then 6K, and then again bounce, 6K flow, poof, went through the flow, right? So all of that hope crushed. So much hope being built up on each rally, but I should just pull up the chart, right? Why am I trying to pull up everything from memory, right? Like, if you guys weren't in crypto for that phase, I want you guys to think about everyone who was in crypto for every one of these rallies. Think about their hopes going up, okay? Their hopes rising, right? And then boom, dump for week after week after week after week. And then they're like, oh man, this is it. Maybe I'll give it one more shot. And you see the rallies. Right, you see the rallies and you chase price back in. But remember, you got shook out here. So you chase price back, and then you're like, okay, this is it. We're going back up to 20K and 50K. All the promises. By the way, back then, the promises were 50K. Okay, not 20K. They were 50K. So everyone was expecting 50K, and we stopped at around 20K. But let me tell you something. At around 5K, everyone was like, this is a bubble. 5K, we were in a bubble. Okay. 20K, it was like, nope, we're going to 50K. It's very funny. But anyways, hopes built up again, boom, dumped. Hopes built up again, boom, dumped. Now people are like, you're not going to fool me. Next time my hopes build up, I am going to keep my hope up. I'm going to hold on because you shook me out way too much. I'm just going to hold. And boom, the big dump. This entire phase was where Mango principles really got solidified and really saved me. And I made my account changing trades on this short here and then this long here. I almost lost my, like, in hindsight now that I think about it. At the time, I didn't realize the severity of how bad things could have gotten. But during this phase here, I got a little bit over exuberant with my position had grown so much, right? And I was like, some of you who were around back then probably know or remember my excitement But yeah, like let's say we had this kind of move. Well, Bitcoin didn't see the big wick, right? But let's say the altcoin wick showed up on Bitcoin back then over here. I would have got zeroed out, right? So I was like really leveraged. But anyways, here this move and this move, just two moves, guys, can change everything for you. It can, and then it set me up for my life. So what happened, right? I had like three big moves that happened for me. Like if I had to look, I mean, we're going off on a tangent here, but I'll just tell you guys how three things can change your life, right? Two trades, one short, one long, right? And then I had a really, really good run on my Binance altcoin account, right? So I was trading Bitcoin on Debit and I was trading altcoins on Binance, and I 5x'd my Binance account. I just had a really good run of trend trades. So one short, one long, and then 5xing my Binance account while Bitcoin was still at around 6K to 5K, right? And then I wanted to pull out of altcoins, right? I was ultra bullish Bitcoin. And I wasn't like doing things with like, I know what's going to happen. I was just like, following the process. I didn't know how things were going to play out. But again, one short, one long, 5x my altcoin account, converted into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went up 10x, right? Because Bitcoin went up from like around 5K, 6K to 50K. So think about how just a few trades can everyone thinks it needs to be many trades. No, guys, that's not how it plays out. That's not how it needs to play out at the very least. Putting on many trades to get to those numbers is exhausting. It's exhausting, and it leaves you exposed for so many more mistakes, right? So if you are hearing all these stories on your YouTube traders, I mean, I'm a YouTube trader, but other YouTube traders, where they're talking about how they're putting on multiple trades and grinding it every single day. I don't know about the veracity of those claims, and two, I really don't think it's sustainable, right? I think gunning for big wins is a lot more sustainable, but that comes with, why is it not easy though? There's no free lunch, right? The payment that you make though is having to deal with many small losses, right? Like, okay, I'm out of this trade. 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 And every now and then you're going to take like a hit, but as long as you follow the Mango, like for example in SZN Clubhouse, if you guys are on the Mango C program, by the way, please watch SZN Clubhouse session where me and Wolby having a back and forth, and Wolby talks about, again, congratulations, Wolby has been such an extraordinary trader, right? This entire cycle, he, like a full complete trader is what I would call him. He took a hit during this move as well, this most recent crypto market move. But again, because following Mango principles, stayed in strength, stayed in Bitcoin, stayed in liquidity, in a trade where there's liquidity, and followed our risk management indicator, tool sheet, etc., he was able to keep his losses extremely limited and within the bounds of his risk parameters. So yeah, it stung, but it was always part of what could happen, right? When you go into the risk management module, right, it's something that's set in stone right off the bat. Guys, this will happen and it can happen, and the reason we're setting all of this in place is because one day it will happen, and this was that day. This was one of crypto's worst liquidation events in history, and Mongolians have been sitting, I mean, not pretty, we've been stung, but we are live. The other communities the entire communities have gotten zeroed out on their accounts, right? Yeah, so I went off on a massive tangent of that, but I think it's important. Very important. We've just been through one of a historic moment in crypto, right? How you behave from this point onwards is going to be very important, because you're going to look back at this moment. You're going to look back at this moment and you're going to be like, that was the moment that made me make XYZ decision. Was it the right decision? So important, guys. Like, note this down, because you guys are going to think back to, oh shit, Shawn actually said that I'm going to be thinking back to this moment, right? So how you behave right now should be and you know, guys, I'm realizing that there are other YouTubers out there who have probably been giving people a lot of bad advice because one, they're either not trading, or two, they are in a situation where they don't care, right? They don't care, right? You have to look out for yourself here. You have to look out for yourself and really, really understand that these are the moments where other people who don't have a lot on the line, they're not gonna have to care, and they're not gonna look back at this moment and think, oh damn, I should have acted differently. No. That you though, you're gonna have to care, because I've seen folk who at these pivotal junctures made the wrong decision out of emotion, and they look back 1 year later, hell, 6 months later, and they're like, shit, right? You don't want to be those people. How's it going, Ghost? Good to see you in a stream. Wolvie is definitely standing stoic with that Viking spirit of his. Hopefully his bullishness can push Bitcoin to yeah. Okay, let's see. Shawn, can you discuss the monthly Tenkin and Kijun moving up to price? Yep, we'll go with that. Usually it's hard to buy on major liquidations like we had. I managed to get some Sui and XRP. Good stuff, Expo. Oh, you managed to pull it off in Kraken, eh? Nice. I should try that. Okay. What does everyone think? Cycle over or cycle not over? Guy says, just tuning in right now. Could you possibly give a couple sentence summary of your current thoughts on price action? If I had to separate Bitcoin away from the rest of the market, I would say that Bitcoin is doing precisely what it's done the entirety of this cycle, where it has consolidated, broken out of a consolidation, got everyone excited for massive continuation, not seen that continuation. Everyone leverages expecting that continuation, right? But the continuation doesn't play out and they get liquidated. They over leverage themselves. So everyone who got liquidated on Bitcoin, if you guys think about it, got liquidated within the range. Bitcoin did not break structure at all. Getting liquidated while price staying within the range is a sign of the asset's strength, but a sign of the market participants' weakness. And when I say weakness, I'm talking about how they put themselves in paper hand situations because they're over leveraging. They're a high level. Leverage is fine, guys. Leverage is fine, provided you do it at the right times, on the right asset, with the right understanding of liquidity. So what ends up happening with Bitcoin often throughout this entire cycle is we see breakouts, no continuation. I mean, look at it. How often have we seen it? Right? We've seen it throughout this entire range here, right? Breakout, bull flag breakout, no continuation, and then we go into massive consolidation. Everyone gets, this was like brutal consolidation, right? Everyone's hopes crushed, expecting big move down. Did not play out instead. Everyone sold, ran out of sellers, continuation. Again, same story here. We thought we were going to break out, right? We deserve the breakout. We deserve it. Why shouldn't we get it? We've gone through a massive consolidation. We deserve continuation now. Nope, breakdown, right? Every time. Again over here too, right? We've gone through consolidation. We deserve a breakout. Nope, breakdown. So nothing has really changed, but what we have to come to terms with is that Bitcoin has been running for a very long time now, right? The cycle, right, has been a very long cycle. Now, the one thing that Bitcoin has been extremely consistent on is its signature of breaking every single signature from the past, right? Every single cyclical signature from the past has been broken. So what if we break the signature of actually not seeing the 4-year cycle, halving cycle, etc., right? Now, I'm not playing for that. You know how we have been playing Bitcoin for the past few years now is literally just trade 6-month cycles, right? We trade Bitcoin in 6-month chunks, and whether it's an up cycle or down cycle, we establish that in the beginning of the cycle, right? We don't need to care whether we're going into a 4-year cycle or breaking the 4-year cycle, etc. It doesn't matter. But if that plays out, this is the time for Bitcoin to prove itself. So, some summary of my thoughts on Bitcoin's price action is that it's not really done anything different at all. Like, we're still holding a simple trend line that we have drawn in all the way from 2022. We have 2 touch points on this one over here, right? 1 touch point, 1 touch point. We have yet to put in the 3rd touch point. Then what I've done over here for you guys is also drawn in a second trend line, this dotted trend line. You guys see it, right? Now this second trend line also has 2 touches, 1 touch, 2 touches, and it doesn't have its 3rd touch. Now both trend lines may see their 3rd touch if we see a move down onto this red zone over here. Okay, this red zone is also confluencing with the bi-weekly Mango dynamic. Now this isn't something I'm just pulling out of my ass. We've been watching this indicator since the beginning of the cycle, right? Again, props to Julian for first pointing it out to the Mango community that we are respecting it, right, to the T. Once you identify something like that, you trade it, right? Once the market shows you that's respecting the dynamic on a certain time frame, you just trade that dynamic. That's how we made so much money on Sui as well. Same story with Bitcoin, right? Respecting it, respecting it, respecting it. We've not got the test yet, but if we do get the test over here, it's going to line up with the dotted trend line and the longer term cyclical trend line, both getting their 3rd retest, right? We've not got the 3rd touch yet. So it's going to be a confluence of events over here, which makes it such an easy trade, not because we know it's going to bounce, but because if it doesn't bounce, we know we are wrong very, very quickly, right? Do you guys get what I mean? That's what trading is really about, not about being right for sure, but knowing when you're wrong in a very clear, executable way, right? That's so important. People try to make their analysis complicated. And you know what? It's fine for your analysis to be complicated in the beginning because it's fun. It makes you feel smart. And it needs to be complicated because if you oversimplify the beginning of the process, then you're not really putting in the work, right? Your job, though, is to take all of that complication and synthesize it down to simplicity. Once you get that synthesis down to a simple executable thesis, right, where it's as simple as I can explain what needs to happen for me to hold on to a trade to my kid, right? My 4-year-old kid needs to be able to understand that, hey, if Bitcoin breaks this zone over here at around $100,000 down to $94,000, then daddy's going to have to sell all his Bitcoin. And I don't get to go to college. Yeah, it needs to be as simple as that. It needs to be as simple as that. Actually, no, if I sell all my Bitcoin, she gets to go to college, right? Because I have cash now. But guys, your entire trade can be boiled down to this chart. Just take a screenshot. You have 2 trend lines and 1 trend indicator here. Okay, and we're going to give you guys an update on these levels every bi-weekly candle close. And to be able to do that easier, what we have done is we've created a newsletter, which is free for now. So that way we can send you updates on the levels. Make sure that you guys join the newsletter. It's themangoway.com/mangojuice, I believe. Avi, if you're in here, please link it. Now, we will be monitoring how many of you actually joined the newsletter, because if there's not enough interest, we're not going to pursue it, because it's going to be more work for us to, write a letter, give you guys the updated levels for the Mango dynamic on Bitcoin, XRP, etc. it's effort, right? Effort that we can allocate elsewhere. So we will be gauging whether or not to pursue this depending on your interest. So if you guys are interested in something like this, please sign up and let us know. Oh wait, I shouldn't delete that, right? The mangoway.com, mango juice. Didn't know y'all have kids. No, I don't. I don't have kids. I was just saying, as a community, right, together. I'm living vicariously off Wolfie's kids, Chauvin's kids. Who else? Exponent's kids. You guys have enough kids for me. Once I financially retire all of you, right, I'll have kids. You guys are my kids. Oh my god, that sounds so wrong. Okay, all right. So Stanton asked for Bitcoin on the monthly. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that here. I'm going to duplicate this so I can come back to it. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do this. I don't like the look of this, by the way. You cannot deny that this isn't the best look. What does this tell you, Stanton? It's good news, right? Price going sideways, tanking coming into equilibrium. Kijun also coming into equilibrium. This Kumo twist over here, though, is a bit concerning. But then again, like, we don't have enough cloud history. We should be, like, this entire region here, we should be a little bit concerned. This may actually line up, by the way, guys, with the cycle extension thesis that some people are proposing, right? And would also line up with the Mango 6-month cycle thesis. What do I mean by that? In that we may actually see both. In that we see a 6-month drawdown, which is where Mango will be fine because we'll be playing it in a 6-month chunk, right? Then instead of seeing continuation after the 6 months, right, what we're going to end up seeing is a reversal, right? So 6 months would be, let's measure it. 6 months from September, mid-September-ish, somewhere around here. We go 180 days. That would be, yeah, there you go. That lines up perfectly with the end of this red cloud, right? So we go something like this, maybe down to the Kijun. I don't know. We don't know how deep it's going to go. We're going to have to adjust with price. Maybe it stops at the Tenkin, right? Maybe it stops at the Tenkin, consolidates, and then starts a new 6-month cycle. So this phase here, everyone plays for a bear market, right? But we get support on the Tenkin instead. And technically, Mango would be playing it as a downtrend as well, and as a bear market until we actually do see signs of a reversal. But the difference between Mango and the rest of the community is that everyone will be expecting like a 2-year, 3-year bear market, maybe 1-year bear market, I don't know. We, on the other hand, will be watching for our usual trend signals. Nothing changes. 6 months, 6-month chunk. At the end of 6 months, we're like, okay, what do we look at now? Oh, we're sitting on the Kijun, we're sitting on the Tenkin. We have reclaimed the Mango dynamic. You know, we have objective ways to get us back on the right side of the trade. That's what is so important and so stress-free, right? We don't really have to do too much guessing. We have objective tools to keep us on the right side of the market. Let's see, I'm going to read the comments now. Dreeb says, so a couple of things giving me pause of late. Gold surging like it is, yeah. And some financials, particularly regional banks, getting hit hard. Oh, I haven't been following all of that recently. I'm just got back from vacation, and it's been hard to keep up with everything. But that's interesting. The Kumo could also be a bear market bottom. You mean if price comes all the way down to the Kumo here? Yeah. You should see support on this entire cloud zone over here. 39,000-ish, 41,000-ish, all the way down to 34,000. Honestly, we don't want to see price come down that low, but it could, right? What kind of drawdown would that be? 67%. So yeah, definitely in the realms of it happening. Joshua says, if you can retire us all, it would be all luck. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I wouldn't say, like, why would you think it's all luck? Like Bitcoin is not the only markets that you need to trade to be able to make money, man. Like, again, in Mango Seed, we've already been talking about and trading assets outside of crypto that are freaking doing hundreds of percents in gains. So, and it's not been luck. We've been very, very strategic about it. And again, you can talk to the seedlings, talk to the Mongolians. And by the way, my job, is to, not job, my goal. I don't say job, and job. It's my job too. But my goal, personally, I was talking to Kusha's parents too about this, is to retire / change at least 1,000 people's lives, right? And them tell me that. Now, there are going to be people's lives I change and they don't tell me that, but I've already had 100 people tell me that. So first I had a goal to just change 10 people's lives, right? Then it was 50 and then 100. Like, I keep trying to increase that goal. I've already had 100 people tell me that I've changed their lives. But 10 people have told me that I've managed to help them retire, right? So 10 people have already retired because of the teachings at Mango. 10 people, okay? So I want to get that to 50, then to 100, then to 1,000. So 10 people have come up to me and told me that. I'm hoping that I've retired far more people than 10. Why is that a goal for you, Shawn? Because the reason why is that a goal for me, because that's how I will get motivation to continue doing what I am doing in the way I am doing it, right? Because the YouTube algo is going to otherwise push me to do other things. And if you guys think about the kind of content we have at Mango over here, it doesn't serve the YouTube algo, right? It goes deep into things that the usual person is going to want to switch away from immediately, right? And go on to content that, hey, I want to be rich today. But no one's life is going to change by getting rich quick. Because even if you do manage to get your riches quick, you're going to give it away extremely quickly. You're going to give it back just as fast as you made it, right? Just as fast. I know it's so cliche, but it is fundamentally true, because in today's world, more than ever, you need to be skilled in knowing how to keep your money. This did not used to be the case in the past, where inflation was under control and we had modicum of fiscal and monetary responsibility from the authorities, right? We don't have that anymore. So now more than ever, you need to know how to protect your money. And I'm not talking about don't go and gamble it away in the casino and buy shit. Even if you're just holding your money in the bank, you could lose it all, which is funny. But changed my life now, bro. USDT. Yeah, but let's say I give you the money. Yeah, let's say I give you the money. You're gonna lose it, man. You're gonna go and take it, and you're gonna lose it. Like, too many variables right now on tariffs. No, I agree with you, Joshua. I agree with that, which is why I'm that much more excited to do it now more than ever. Because if it was easy, then what the hell is the point of the goal, right? There's no point taking up any goal that is easy to do. What is happening tomorrow? No, man, that's not what we do here, Joshua. I don't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. What I did, I'll show you guys a screenshot. Okay. For those of you who are new here, okay, just to show you how Mango works, and you guys don't know how we work. During the bear market, we put in daily, like I don't do daily videos anymore. But during the bear market, I was doing daily videos, like during this entire zone over here. Let me show you a screenshot, okay, right here. I was coming on OneNote and scribbling with my pen pad thingy for you guys day in and day out, right? And look at the way we were grinding. At this point, like we had a 6-month thesis for Bitcoin getting up to the top of the cloud from around 16K, right? And then I think people give me credit for my call for 120K Bitcoin, but I think this was easily my best call. This was my best call, where not only we predicted the move from the Tenkin to the top of the cloud, basically the reclaim of the Tenkin into the equilibrium trade to the top of the cloud, but we predicted the consolidation of 20% range above the cloud. Okay, and now let's go back and see what happened. Okay, we're going to switch to the weekly. Okay, that's exactly what happened. Okay, we reclaimed the Tenkin right here. We got the equilibrium trade edge to edge to the top of the cloud, and let's go measure the consolidation range. Ready? 20%. Again, this was my best call. Right? And then, by the way, we had amazing long-term calls after that too. But to me, this was my best call. Like I put in so much work for this call. I put in a lot of grinding for this call. It was a 6-month to 12-month trade, right? But we look at things in the long term. And then again, it wasn't just this, right? I can just, like, I don't tell you guys what's going to happen tomorrow. We try to play for the big wins. And I'm trying to find the screenshot of where we marked out the entire thing about 120K. Where is it? Man, there's so many slides here. But yeah, this is. Does anyone have that? I need to save all of these in a different notepad. Oh, got it. Oops, let me just get a better screenshot. Capture. There we go. Just to show you guys that I'm not LARPing. I'm just not. Look at this. Right, we marked out 100K to 130K. This is one of the screenshots. Like our target was 120K. I can't find that particular screenshot, but over here, I've given you guys a range 120K to 130K, and like we were working hard, guys. We were working hard. So it wasn't easy. But it all played out. Now, if you guys want to follow along, man, go this cycle around and do it the hard way, then I'm here for you guys. If you guys want it easy, I'm not here for you guys. You guys should probably find a different channel for that. Let's see. Anita Cho says, not financial advice, but condom can protect you from That's pretty good financial advice, to be honest. That's pretty good financial advice. Imran, okay, I've read that out already. Okay. Sanders said, I decided yesterday that I'm closing all my trades, even good entry on some positions, just to take a fresh look at the assets. That's a good idea, man. After BTC makes its move to the bi-weekly, weekly Kijun. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'm not sure whether you watched the most recent C Clubhouse session, but I talked about something very similar. The idea essentially that I was trying to convey was that okay, let me do that. Let's pull up Bitcoin dominance, right? Is that because Bitcoin dominance has lost its bi-weekly trend, right? Let's wait for it to pull up. Pull it up. Come on. Trading view. There we go. It's completely fine to increase your altcoin allocation, right? So going from this entire cycle, Mango has been 90 to 95% Bitcoin. And someone asked me, Shawn, should we go back to 90 to 95% Bitcoin, right? And the thing is, this over here, the structure here allows you to have an increased allocation, but that doesn't mean that you're forced to have an increased allocation, okay? Because if you assess that, hey, I think that this cycle might be turning around at this juncture because of what we have seen, I'm not going to be playing for the cycle to, or rather, I'm not going to be making moves that the cycle is over, because you're not trying to call a top over here, especially when all of our signals are still intact, right? Dynamic is still holding. We have the monthly 10 SMA holding too over here. I want to show you guys this too. So monthly 10 SMA is holding. We have price over 10, 10 over the 21 EMA. This structure is holding too. So you don't want to be playing for the bear market right now. That being said, you want to mentally get ready for it, right? So when you're mentally getting ready for it, you got to ask yourself the question, if I do start seeing the signals, if the Mango dynamic is lost, if the monthly 10 SMA is claimed by the bears, then I need to start getting ready to exit on my altcoins as well, right? Now, if I have like all these weak altcoins, and I have too many altcoins, and Bitcoin dumps, Bitcoin to the Mango dynamics around 8 to 10%. Bitcoin dumps 8 to 10%. Altcoins could dump 24 to 30%, right? So now I have 7 altcoins, all dumping 24 to 30%, and I'm trying to manage all of these trades. It's just going to be too much for me to do. So what I would recommend for people who are in that mindset, you're mentally getting ready for a potential exit. If you are in that mindset, you shouldn't have more coins than you have the skill to manage, right? So if you are highly skilled and experienced, then you can go up to like 4 to 5 altcoins max, right? If you're not skilled, you need to reduce the amount of altcoins and keep the rest in Bitcoin, right? Because then it's easy to manage. You're not going to be fumbling around. Trust me, guys, it gets extremely, extremely stressful. So in that regard, the best way to do it, right? That way all your emotions are put aside, is to actually do what Stan is doing and say, you know what, I'm just going to exit everything. And if I feel like a coin is worth entering, I can re-enter, right? Because once you pull the bandage off, right? Rip the bandage off and just take the pain, you have a clear mind, and then you realize, you know what, I don't want to enter this coin, right? Your capital is your capital at the end of the day. That's all that matters. Your capital is your capital. And once you have that capital, you get to reallocate if you want to, right? Yes, you're going to pay some fees on execution costs, but it pays in comparison to seeing that another 15%, 20% dump. MC says, I can manage more than 3 assets when shit hits the fan. Oh, not more than 3 assets. Okay, yeah. There you go, man. Exactly. And it's so important to come to terms with that and acknowledge that about yourself, because you're going to actually make money by acknowledging that. Cheers, Joshua. See you around. Grievous says, definitely I can attest to that approach of closing all positions to reassess, which you can do. Yeah, exactly. Okay, X-Men just reminded me that I should probably take a look at Bitcoin Gold. Okay, this is something that we need to keep an eye on, guys. 14 days. Bitcoin needs to make a move over here. This is going to be the signal that gets us ready for the rest of the signals, okay? Like, let's go and watch this. Boom. Not good. Even over here, when we lost it, right? Let's zoom in for you guys. You know, here when you lost it, we got a bounce, but it was just a sell opportunity, right? So not good, dump, not good, dump. And remember, this is Bitcoin against gold, okay? So we may see this happen even though Bitcoin holds its monthly levels, essentially telling us that, or rather giving us an earlier signal than price action on the USD chart. So keeping an eye on this may actually be an early signal for the Mango community compared to every other signal, right? Every other community over here too. So this has never failed so far. Boom, lost it, dumped. And similarly works the other way too. When you do reclaim it, it's a sign to like buy every retest, right? reclaimed it over here. Oh, actually no, worked over here too. Lost it and then saw a dump, right? Yeah, this is a 100% success rate if you think about it, guys. So if we lose it over here, I don't know what Krisha's thoughts on this. Would I use it as an early signal and trim? I'd be waiting for bounces and taking profits. I'd be looking for every opportunity to get out of altcoins on every bounce. As soon as I see something like that happen, I'd be consolidating positions. Like basically, I'd go into portfolio management mode, right? I'd be looking at everything in my portfolio, not just my crypto, and assess how I want to start looking to get ready to position for the next cycle, right? Because we don't want to trade that like it's going to end up with Bitcoin dumping, because Bitcoin could continue on higher, right? But I want to get mentally ready for positioning. Like you need to be willing to forego some gains towards the end of the cycle to be able to capitalize well for the bottom of the next cycle, right? Of the bear market. And that's eventually coming. You just don't know when, but it's eventually coming. So like sometimes even trimming down 20% may feel like, oh man, I'm giving up, I gave up gains if the market continues on higher. But that 20% is going to be so clutch when you do get that eventual pullback into monthly and weekly dynamic levels. Like Bitcoin needs to outperform gold here, right? Expo, right? By 10%. That's not a tall order, because we need to remember that there's 14 days on the clock, and this chart is not against USD. This is against gold, which means that this could happen while Bitcoin goes sideways and gold has a pullback, right? And are we really going to be all that surprised if gold has a 10% underperformance pullback against Bitcoin? We don't need Bitcoin to rally. It'd be nice if it happens that way, but exuberance on gold could lead to, I mean, let's see, okay? Oh, Krisha's pulling the plug on me, guys. So I'm going to have to wrap up. Gold's at 4,362. What I don't like about gold being this high was too many Bitcoiners calling a top on gold at around 4,000-ish, 4,100. They were already calling a top on gold. And I'm like, do you guys not see your hypocrisy? You guys are being exactly like how the gold folk were being, right? Trying to call a top every time it's rallying. Like, don't be stupid. Don't, like, it's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Anyways, like people trying to call a top on gold is making me expect gold to go up much higher. But let's say we see a pull back down to the 21 EMA. Could happen. That's an 8.5% pullback. And then Bitcoin rallies 2%. That's your 10% right there, right? Doesn't need to happen this way. We just need to see gold go down 5% and Bitcoin rally, right? I love Shawn. I don't know why you guys tolerate me. I go off on such weird tangents. We are mango kids. I love you, Avi. I love you. Okay, let's wrap up now. Anything in specific that we want to talk about? Tesla. Ooh. Oh yeah, Kusha says if you guys want to learn from Shawn, check out the Mango Seed program. Yes, please do. We have a very, very loving family-like vibe in there, looking for like-minded people. If you guys are toxic and crypto-like, I don't say crypto-like, but you guys know what I mean, right? If you guys have that toxic, crypto-like personality where you are, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Just don't bother. Mango seed is not for you. But if you are family-like, loving-like, oh, I want to talk about Ethereum, guys. Let's talk about Ethereum. Let's get a fresh chart, though. So Ethereum, I think, is actually looking great, right? It's just that everyone is comparing price on the low time frames instead of looking at Ethereum on the higher time frames, and this is actually looking so gorgeous. It's hard to be bearish on this. It's really hard to be bearish on this. You have a flat consolidation, okay, a triangle, a rectangle, call it what you want, because if you draw it like a box like this, you could say it's a rectangle, but it's not coming to the bottom over here. That being said, there's an argument to be made for it not being a triangle either. I don't get caught up into all of that. I see this structure and it's beautiful to me. Consolidating at the top of the range. This was one of our targets, right? Measured move of the lower range right there. You guys can see, but it's not breaking down. It's not breaking back into the squeeze, into the triangle. So I'm still holding out for my targets at around the middle of this green box. So yeah, I would say 9,240. I know this, especially with the current environment, it sounds like I'm being a complete bulltard, but I'm just looking at the technicals over here. The monthly is yet to put in and confirm a high low. The monthly is yet to confirm a high low. This could come down even deeper, in fact, and still be fine. And once we take out the high, let's say this month closes, Ethereum doesn't need to do much. Ethereum can close here, right? Let's say this month closes here, 3,800. And then the next month we take out 5,000. That's it. I'll be looking towards 9,200. So yeah, with that, I think we can wrap up. Take a quick look at the dashboard. We're going to start the weekly. Neutral now on the weekly, a market-wide trend. Volatility is compressed down to blue. 4-day neutral, 2-day neutral, daily short, 12-hour short, 4-hour short. This tells me, guys, overall that you just, again, go through this, right? You can do the other way too. 4-hour short, 12-hour short, daily short, 2-day neutral, 4-day neutral, weekly neutral. The overall direction of my leverage trades is going to be towards the downside. So if I'm putting on any leverage trades, you only have permission based on what the dashboard is quickly telling us, right? Your general direction for your short trade should be downside towards high time frame support, right? So you want to be taking profits on your high time frame support, right? But your directional leverage trades should be towards the downside. If you do not want to put on short trades, then you should not be putting on any leverage trades on the long side, right? No leverage trades on the long side, only spot trades on the long side at this juncture of the market, because you do not have momentum going for you, period. You put on leverage only in the direction of momentum, and momentum at the moment is towards the downside. That's the conclusion of this analysis. Yeah. Okay, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll see you guys in our Discord, themangoway.com/Discord. Oh, and remember, we will be giving guys updates on key critical levels. We are our new newsletter, if I can find the tab. Right here. themangoway.com/mangojuice. This will help us quickly update you guys on critical levels that we otherwise would need to come and update you guys on via a YouTube video. This makes it easier for us. But again, we're only going to pursue this if we see enough interest. So if you guys are interested, please sign up, because it's going to be effort on our end to see this through week after week. We're going to be updating you guys. Right, so keep it easy, keep it mango, keep it stress-free. Ciao, I love you all.